Let's see the types and distribution of forest and wildlife resources. Most of the forest and wildlife resources are owned by the Government of India and managed through several departments like the Forest Department. Let's see the government's categorization of forest. First comes reserved forest. More than half of the total forest land has been declared reserve forest. Reserve forests are regarded as the most valuable as far as the conservation of forest and wildlife resources are concerned. What are protected forests? Let us see. Almost 1/3 of the total forest area is protected forest as declared by the Forest Department. These forest lands are protected from any further depletion. Next comes unclassed forest. These are other forests and wastelands belonging to both government and private individuals and communities. Over 50% of the forests in India have been declared reserve forest. The states of Jammu and Kashmir, Andhra Pradesh, Uttarakhand, Kerala, Tamil Nadu, West Bengal and Maharashtra have a large percentage of their forest classified as reserved forest. Most parts of the forest in Bihar, Haryana, Punjab, Himachal Pradesh, Orissa and Rajasthan are classified as protected forest. Reserved and protected forests are together called permanent forest estates. Madhya Pradesh has the largest share of permanent forest in India with almost 75% of its forests classified as permanent forest. Most of the forests in the northeastern states of India and Gujarat are unclassed forest. Community and conservation. Religious faith has led to the conservation of certain specific type of trees in different parts of India. Parts of forest or complete forest are protected by communities since they are considered to be abodes of gods and goddesses. Such protected forest areas are called sacred groves. Several animals are also considered sacred and therefore not harmed. Another reason for community participation in conservation efforts is the concern of their own survival. Many tribal communities are actively helping government officials in their conservation efforts. Local villages cited the Wildlife Protection Act to fight against the ongoing mining activity inside the Sariska Tiger Reserve in Rajasthan. In Alwar district of Rajasthan, people from 5 villages have declared 1,200 hectares of forest as a Bhairo Devdakav sanctuary with a set of regulations that forbid hunting and encroachments. The Chipko movement started in 1970 in the Garhwal Himalayas of Uttarakhand, where people including women and children hugged trees to prevent them from being cut. Farmers and citizen groups like Beech Bachao Andolan in Tehri, Uttarakhand and Navdanya are also aiming to conserve the environment by reviving traditional methods of farming. Orissa made a pioneering effort in this direction by launching the Joint Forest Management or JFM program in 1988. Under the Joint Forest Management program, local village communities participate in conservation efforts on degraded forest land. In return, the communities get the benefit of using the forest produce and a share in the timber harvested on the protected forest and wildlife resources. Let's quickly learn about the chapter Conservation of Forest and Wildlife in India. Conservation of plants and animals ensures the quality of air, water and soil on which we depend for our survival. Making provisions for habitat protection and publishing a list of protected species. Nutrients in conservation policy. Types and distribution of forest and wildlife resources. Government's categorization of forest, reserved, protected and unclassed forest. Community and conservation. The Chipko movement started in 1970 in the Garhwal Himalayas of Uttarakhand, where people including women and children hugged trees to prevent them from being cut. Forest and wildlife resources. The variety of living things found in a region, country or the entire earth is called its biological diversity or biodiversity. Flora and fauna, their definitions. List of critically endangered species. normal, extinct, endangered, vulnerable, rare, endemic. Number of endangered species in India. These are example of endangered species. Vanishing forest. The Asiatic cheetah became extinct in India in 1952 due to a decline of available habitat and prey. This is another useful plant called Himalayan yew plant, which is very useful in treating several types of cancers, and it is endangered. Forest and wildlife resources. Cause of depletion of flora and fauna. Hunting and poaching, habitat destruction, deforestation, colonial forest policy, development projects, mining, agriculture expansion, overgrazing, enrichment plantation, environmental pollution. These are the factors which are causing the depletion of flora and fauna. Unequal access to resources. Social effect of resource depletion. Conservation of forest and wildlife in India. The benefits of conservation. New trends in conservation policy. Increased biodiversity. The types and distribution of forest and wildlife resources. Government's categorization of forest, reserve forest, protected forest, unclassed forest. Community and conservation. Under the Joint Forest Management Program, local village communities participate in conservation efforts on degraded forest land. In return, the communities get the benefit of using the forest produce and a share in the timber harvested on the protected forest land.